Christelle Louw, who is the advisory partner at Citadel. She's a mom who's moved her kids from getting their 100 Rand a month to investing on the stock exchange themselves. Christelle, I don't believe this. Welcome to Otherwise.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. This is awesome. Just talk us through it. When is it the right time to introduce children to financial planning?
Yes, let me talk about that. I think so often when we meet individuals, they say, you know what, we so wish we were socialized with money at an early age. You know, we become adults and then still we can't work with money if we just had these tips, if we just knew how to work with money. And also find moms often say they're not the main breadwinners at home. Mm-hmm. How do they assist their husbands to ensure that they raise kids financially fit and kids with savvy? And I do think it's quite possible. And the way to do it is firstly to demonstrate it the way you deal with money. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people then ask me, so how do I do that? I think the most important thing is go and see a financial advisor and make sure you've got a handle on your finances, that you know that there is a budget, that money is quite a scarce resource, and from there we move step by step. Now, I've got a few very good tips, for moms sitting and listening and saying, but how can we achieve this?
Firstly, I really appreciate the fact that, children will mirror what we do. And in all sorts of things we do, behavioral, stuff. And we're not aware. We teach children about everything else, and yet we don't deal with money.
That's so true. And we often talk to children, but what they do is they see what we do, and then they act according to that. Mm. So I think that's why it's important that the parents are the role models. But to use pocket money, to introduce financial principles are quite easy. And what you want to teach your child is a few things. So that's the goal of actually engaging in doing this pocket money project. The first thing is you actually want to teach your child the value of money. So what's a pair of tackies worth and what's a pair of branded tackies worth? So there's like at least a perception of, what you're paying for. Mm-hmm. And then to create good spending habits. And what I mean by saying that is, a lot of us spend emotionally and impulsive, and to actually understand that doesn't always lead to lasting enjoyment. It may be a quick fix and something that you enjoy immediately, and that's something we can teach our children as well. Something else that I think is important in this teaching is to ensure that there's a little bit of a project whereby there's a counter energy that you expect from your child. So to earn this money, there's some action that they have to take as well. For instance, something that relates to your family or something that makes your household run easier, like taking out the garbage bags, once a week. Not doing a massive amount of tasks, but just something that is quite simple but quite noticeable. So to actually have a counter-productivity, expected from your child. So they can learn, yes, it comes with some work.
Sorry to interrupt, but what I've heard children say, but pocket money is not supposed to be worked. It's your gift to me, because they just think they deserve it as opposed to having to do work for it.
Yes, you know what that is. I think that's an attitude and a behavior that we have to try and change over time, because if you grow up as an adult, your salary is not just going to fall into your bank. Mm. There will be something that you'll have to do in order to earn that income. And that is quite hard work. The people that I deal with has worked very hard to actually become financially independent. That they didn't just get lucky, or they're not just actually earning it for doing nothing. So I think if you start with that behavior from an early age, it can be very good. And then to have solid saving principles. To know that, you can actually spend your money immediately or have a medium and a longer term goal. For instance, if you actually want to buy something special for Christmas, to say, let's start saving towards this longer term goal. Of course, not such a big amount, but to ensure that there's sufficient and that you can contribute to that as well. But it makes the whole journey so, worth quite a lot, in teaching your child. And I promise you'll never look back, once you've installed these principles. And then, of course, if your child borrows money from you, to make sure that there is some plan, to have this money repaid. That's not just a borrowing and there's no counterproductivity that's expected. So that is really what we're trying to install in children, if we talk about pocket money.
Wow. And this is, and how old were yours when you started?
Well, we started very young. they were actually grade 1, grade 2 when we started, and you start with a very small amount. And the other day, one of my colleagues really laughed at me when I said, there's a basic principle when your child is still 6 and 7 years old. They know nothing about money. They expect you as parents to provide for them. And for that reason, you have to be sensible when you apply an amount, for pocket money. You may have thousands of rands to provide your kid with pocket money, but it's not going to teach them anything. And they have no concept of value for money at that age. So to start really young with a small amount. And then there's principles that you follow rather than looking at the number, because the principles is going to apply lifelong. So my first tip there is to actually, as a family, look at the philosophy of money. How do you as a family and parents, how do you spend money? Do you actually get income and just spend everything? Or do you accumulate a little bit? Because that's really what you want to achieve. You want to make sure there's a bit of accumulation that you can actually have something to live off in years to come.
I want us to before we even get into the philosophy of money as far as the family is concerned, I just wanted us to talk a bit about those families who do not have money to give as pocket money, because we do have those families. It's not every child in every community that gets money as pocket money. There are people who do not have money to give as pocket money. And are the principles the same? How do they get to teach their children about the values of money and spending habits and those kinds of things?
If you look at that, then absolutely. I mean, I think that children are actually privileged because they see how their parents have to budget and how carefully they have to work with their money and how hard it is to earn the money. I think it's a fantastic way of teaching your child through what you do. So I don't think that actually discounts any training, in financial fitness at all.
Christelle, stay on the line for me, please. Sorry to disturb. Stay on the line. We're taking news headlines. Talking about financial fitness for children with Christelle Louw, who's an advisory partner at Citadel. Christelle, you're talking to us about the family philosophy.
That's right. As a family, when you go on holiday or have to plan a holiday for December, one has to consider what do you have to put away, or don't you put anything away at all? Because a lot of people spend on credit cards and only pay later. Now, of course, the principle would be good if you fund a lifestyle to actually save towards that goal as opposed to spending on credit. And that's where the short and medium terms come in, just goals come in. So it is positive if you can teach your child as well to save a little bit towards a certain goal. And to ensure, and that's where financial planning comes in, that you as a family have considered certain things to make sure that you become financially independent. Anyone can be financially independent. It is something that you can achieve regardless of the amount that you spend. It's important to actually make that as a philosophy in your home. Accumulate some funds and ensure that you actually balance it with a lovely lifestyle.
And then let's talk about investment for your children, especially because now they're investing on the stock exchange. How old are they now?
Yes, my daughter is now 20 years old and my son is 15. And the way we started is by, as a parent, you have to set the rules. Because remember, you're teaching your child here something that they may not learn at school at all and may not learn from friends. So you're actually really teaching good core stuff here. So what we did is we said, let's ensure that if you get a pocket money, and we started very small, that you save 20% of what you get. And it was a very small amount. As parents, we added a little bit to it just to actually get to the minimums of what's required for a unit trust. And we say 10% of what you earn, you have to give away. And that's such a fun part to do because you won't believe how creative the kids are when it comes to giving something away. Everyone wants to give. Everyone wants to actually feel good when they give something to someone that really values it. So we said 20% saving, 10% giving, and then 70% you're allowed to spend of your pocket money. Now, it may change from family to family, and you have to be practical of what works for your family. But this worked quite well for us. What we did at some stages for the giving, we actually cashed in some of the rands they got, and we actually put it in our car. And at the traffic lights, there were always beggars and people that we thought could actually do with a few rand, and we gave some away. But that was not the only project. So there's a lot of projects that one can think of that's practical without burdening yourself with a huge amount of work, because, you know, everyone's very busy. So you don't really want to burden yourself with so much administration in addition to what you're doing every day.
It's like tithing at church. People say tithing, you can give, that could be your 10%, right?
Yes, you know what? I think it's important for children to actually experience practically what they're getting.
Okay.
I think that, you can do that, and I'll give you an example just now when it comes to the investing side, what my daughter said to me. But, okay, so then you can actually save your 20%. Initially, as I say, we just topped it up to make sure at least we meet the minimums of this unit trust. We actually talk about the saving side as paying yourself first. So now you've earned something, but you pay yourself first because you value yourself enough to actually contribute to yourself and make sure that you build up a nest egg. So I think that's also important. That was the 20%. And then we said there must be money for now, the 70% that you can spend, and then money for the future to make sure that there's something, a nest egg that you build up. And when it comes to invest, what we did is we started to invest in the Satrix funds, the Satrix 40, which is the top 40 shares in the market, and there's a small contribution that you can make every month to start investing, you know, in the fund. And what I say to them is, remember, you shareholders now of the 40 most prominent companies in South Africa, and you're a shareholder there, regardless of the fact that they earned something of the share. Suddenly they participated in that growth. And are you still?
I'm there. I'm here. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead. So, because I'm interested in that the top 40 being shareholders, and of course they would then go and watch how those shares perform.
That's right. So what I do is every day I'll say to them, you know what, we had a good day on the market, or you know what, it's a very difficult time, the economy's not doing well. So immediately you enticing them to actually start to look at the market, because they've got a keen holding and keen interest now in how the investment is doing. And for a long time just said, you know what, your portfolio is doing very well, we're accumulating, and but we'll often ask, Mom, how's the market doing? And my son's very keen when it comes to listening to market indicators. But my daughter once said, Mom, thank you, you're telling us that it's doing well, but please show me the statement. You know? She said, I actually want to see what's happening here.
Because you're doing well, and what I understand doing well is not the same thing. So I need to prove it.
See that it's growing. Yes, I want to see that it's growing. You said it's growing, but now I want to see the numbers. And from there, you know, we actually started to engage in opening, you know, a share account for them, whereby they can trade, you know, on a portfolio, and actively get involved, you know, in ensuring that they do build up some financial fitness and a bit of financial savvy, and ensuring that there's a way of thinking about companies, thinking about, you know, the markets and the economy, and it's a small scale, but I think it's a good place to start.
Well, I think you've given us enough to encourage us to contact you again. And I know a lot of people will be wanting your contact details and where to find more information about these tips that you've just given us, because I think a lot of us will be interested in having different conversations with our children, especially about money, because, you know, it's not an easy conversation with anyone for anybody to talk about, especially in certain families. So we need to engage openly about money. And of course, this is when all of these tips can work. So how do people find you, Christelle?
I think the best place to find me is phoning me on my office line. It's 011 722 7600. That is the Citadel, switchboard, the main reception.
Okay.
Or they can email me on Christelle. My name is spelled CRISTELLE. And then L for my surname, which is Louw, at citadel.co.za.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I've got a feeling we'll talk again soon. But thank you so much for sharing these tips with us.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, you too. So it's Christelle L at citadel.co.za or 011 722 7600. We're back after this.